All right, thank you so much for joining me in this video lecture. This is Gurpal Singh from Gursur Education, and today we are just continuing the series regarding the lectures and chapters of managerial economics. And this is a very important and very high scoring subject, and about which we have given details so many times. So in this video lecture, we are going to talk about oligopoly system. Okay. So by now you would be able to understand that we have delivered you so many lectures and regarding, I think, all the market structures, like whether this is perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, all we have understood completely. And I must tell you, if we have gone through from all these video lectures, then understanding regarding oligopoly system becomes very easy for you. So these are prerequisites for watching this video lecture. So in this video lecture, we shall be talking about oligopoly, what are different features of that, what are the different types of oligopoly system, how does the cartel work, how the prices and outputs are decided, and most importantly, we shall also learn about the kinky or kinked demand curve. There have been different approaches and theories regarding oligopoly as well, which we shall be talking about in this video lecture. So I hope you would have got the idea of what the structure of this video lecture is going to be. So now I'm just going to share the screen with you. I hope you would enjoy this video lecture a lot. If you see this video lecture, you shall get a lot of knowledge which can be beneficial for you. I must tell you. I think this is going to be the second or third last lecture for managerial economics, and after that we shall be covering the topic regarding pricing decisions. So just enjoy this video lecture. I'm just going to share the screen. Hope you would enjoy this. All right, so now in this video lecture, I think this is going to be the last market structure which we are about to study. We have already started the series regarding managerial economics, and I have delivered you so many lectures regarding the concepts covered under managerial economics. So if we are talking about the basics of managerial economics, then we have studied regarding demand, elasticity, revenue curves, then utility analysis in difference curves, and after that I taught you regarding, most importantly, production curve, and finally the cost functions as well. And if we are talking about the advanced economics, we have already understood regarding different market structures. Most importantly, we have covered the perfect competition. Then we have studied regarding monopoly, and after that recently we have studied regarding monopolistic competition. And this is going to be the last one, and that is going to be oligopoly. This is going to be oligopoly. So this is the situation of oligopoly. I'm going to tell you what is there for us to learn. Okay, so I'm just going to make a quick review of what we have studied regarding different market structure. In perfect competition, we studied that there are so many buyers and sellers, and the product is homogeneous. Okay, this thing we have studied in perfect competition. In case of monopoly, we have understood regarding that there is only one seller, and he is having its wishes to charge any kind of prices from different consumers. So price discrimination is the most important factor which we have to cover, which we have to study regarding monopoly. And after that we have studied regarding monopolistic competition, in which I have taught you that there are so many buyers and sellers, but the products are differed. So product differentiation and advertising cost was the most important features regarding the monopolistic competition. And finally, now we are going to cover the oligopoly. So this is the situation where there are only few sellers in the market, and they have made either their cartel or they are working independently. And its most important example is OPEC, that is Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So going to move further, and going to tell you what is oligopoly and why we have to study this and how we can study this. So this is a special type of market situation in which few firms control supply of a commodity. There are only few firms. I have given you already the example. This is OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. There are only 10 countries. They have their cartel and they control the supply of a commodity in the entire world. Okay. The competing firms are few in numbers, but each one is large enough so as to able to control the total industry output and moderate. So although these are few firms, but each and every firm is extremely large, so they can affect the decisions regarding other firms as well. I'm going to tell you how that can be affected. So what are the features of oligopoly that we have to understand? First of all, this is interdependence. There are only few sellers. That's why they have interdependence with each other. If somebody is charging us some prices, then others have to decide accordingly. After that, there is advertising. They advertise regarding their product, how they can offer the differentiated product. After that, there is group behavior. They work in a group. They work in a coalition as well. Then there is extreme kind of a competition between them in an oligopoly situation. There is the competition as well because there are only few sellers and they have to compete with each other. After that, there is barrier of entry of a firm. New firms cannot enter in the oligopoly market because the product offered is so large, so big that it need extreme kind of investment for the new firms to enter into the market. Then there is lack of uniformity. Maybe they are not uniform in their policies. They change, they make their own decisions not on the basis of others, but this is certain that decision taken by one firm can affect the decisions or the price and output situation of the other firms as well. Then existence of price rigidity. Price can be rigid. Okay, price can be rigid. It can be in cartel or it can be individually decided. It can be at anything. It is very rigid. Once it is decided, firms, all the firms are charging near about that the same price being charged by the industry. No unique pattern of pricing behavior. There is no unique pattern. Sometime if a firm feels that he can charge more for the features they are providing in their commodity, then they can charge much more than others, and in that case it shall affect the decision of other firms as well. Then indeterminateness of demand curve. In case of oligopoly, the demand curve is kinked demand curve, and this is also known as kinky demand curve. The demand curve is not, in case of a perfect competition, I taught you that demand curve is like that. In case of a monopoly, demand curve was like that. In case of monopolistic competition, I taught you demand curve is like that. AR and MR is like that, where AR stands for demand curve. But in case of oligopoly, the demand curve is like that. So first of all, it can be downward. After that, it can be inside tilting as well. This is known as kinked or kinky demand curve. The only reason being, whenever the prices are changed, there can be huge level of a change in demand, and if this is the case, then the demand curve can shift immediately to any side. This is why it is known as a kinky demand curve. So that was all the features regarding oligopoly situation. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how many types and how many classifications can be done for the oligopoly situations. So this concept relates to the classification of oligopoly. Oligopoly situation can be classified into different bases. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you in how many types the oligopoly exists into the market. The first is a basis on the product differentiation. Basis of a product differentiation. On the basis of a product differentiation, oligopoly can be of two types. The first is a pure and perfect oligopoly, and the second is imperfect or a differentiated oligopoly. So in case where all the firms are offering the homogeneous or identical products to the market, this kind of situation is known as pure and perfect oligopoly. But in case when the firms are offering differentiated products, like in the case of a monopolistic competition, then this is the case of a differentiated oligopoly. This is known as differentiated oligopoly. Simple conclusion: in case of a pure, the products are homogeneous. In case of differentiated oligopoly, the products are differentiated. The second basis of making the classification can be on the basis of entry of a firm. That can be open oligopoly or closed oligopoly. So an open oligopoly provides full freedom of new firms to enter into the market. Sometimes they can enter if they feel that they can make the large investment in the current industry, then they can enter into the market. But there are some kind of a closed oligopoly as well, where these are market situation where only few firms control the entire market and new firms are not allowed to enter in the market. So on the basis of entry of the firm, there can be open and closed oligopoly situations. Then on the basis of price leadership, price leadership, there can be two kinds of oligopoly situation. The first can be partial, the second can be full oligopoly. Partial refers to the situation in which where the industry is dominated by one large firm only. This is known as a price leader or the leader of the industry, and the other firms known as followers just to follow him, just to follow the price policy determined by their leader. This is known as partial oligopoly situation. But in case of a full oligopoly, there is no leader in the market and no follower. Each and everyone is free to decide their own policies. So this is known as a concept of partial and full oligopoly situation in the market. So I hope you would have understood that. Now just moving forth, and this is going to be on the basis of agreement. If they all make the agreement, if there are few sellers in the market, if they make the agreement, on the basis of the agreement, there can be two kinds of oligopoly situation. The first can be collusive oligopoly and the second can be non-collusive oligopoly. So collusive oligopoly refers to the market situation where the firms of the industry follow a common policy of pricing. So they both join hands with each other for deciding the pricing structure. And non-collusive oligopoly refers to market situation where there is no agreement among the firm regarding price and the output of the entire market. Okay, so when there is no agreement between firms, this is known as non-collusive oligopoly situation. So this is collusive oligopoly and non-collusive oligopoly situation on the basis of agreement. So that was all the detail regarding how many different types of there for oligopoly to exist into the market. Now I hope you would have understood regarding different things of oligopoly. Now there are some models who suggest how the oligopoly exists, how the oligopoly exists. Now just take a single example in your mind, and just with this example you can understand all these models. Otherwise I don't suggest you to go through from individual model in depth. The only reason being individual model is not going to be asked to you in the examination. So suppose there are only five firms in the market. Okay, so all the firms are charging 100 rupee for a specific product. If firm B starts charging 90, then very obvious there will be more demand for the same product from firm B as compared to different firms, because they are offering at 100 rupee, and they will be forced, these firms shall be forced to decline their prices as well. Okay, and the similar case can be if the prices are similar, no one can charge the higher prices. The only reason being then no customer shall go to that firm to purchase the product. So this is the situation. So now you can see that there is extreme kind of interdependence in case of oligopoly between the different firms. So if you have understood this example, on the basis of that I shall explain all the models. These have been given by different authors. The first is known as Carnot's duopoly model. The second is Chamberlain duopoly model. The third one is Bertrand's duopoly model, and the last one is Edgeworth duopoly model. The first one is Carnot's duopoly model. What it says, that was given by Augustin Carnot, French economist. He developed this model in 1838. What he suggested a very simple thing. Okay, so he took the example of two firms which were owning the mineral water well. Okay, they both operate their wells at zero marginal cost, and they face demand curve with constant negative slope. And these are the simple lines. Okay, like these are all the situations which we have already covered under monopoly and monopolistic competition and perfect competition as well. So the only thing his model suggests is that that each seller acts on an assumption that his competitors will not react to his decision to change his output and price. So this is the only crux of this model. This is known as Carnot's behavioral assumption. It says that A, B, C, D, E. If B is changing his prices or output in any way, then the other firms are not going to react immediately for his decision. So this is known as the Carnot model. So you can read again. Each seller acts on the assumption that his competitor will not react to his decision to change his output and price. So that is the most important thing regarding Carnot model. The next model, if we study, this is known as a Chamberlain's duopoly model, a small group model. Okay, so what it says, that it says completely adverse to what we have studied in Carnot model. It says that if one firm changes its price decision, then there will be the sharp competition between the firms, and they shall react immediately as per the decision taken by a specific firm. So it says that recognition of a possible sharp reaction to an oligopolistic firm's price and output manipulation would avert harmful competition amongst the firm in such a market and would result in a stable industry equilibrium. After that, again, if it lowers its prices, everyone shall lower its prices. If it make its prices higher, either all shall remain at the same position or they will also increase their prices. So that is the model given by Chamberlain's duopoly situation. Okay, so it says that ultimately industry becomes at equilibrium position when there is the competition in the market. So the next model is the model. So in the previous two models, like from Carnot and Chamberlain, what you have studied, if a firm changes, manipulates its price or output decisions, the other firms are not going to react immediately. But Chamberlain says, yes, other firms are going to react immediately if one firm changes its price or output decision. Then what about Bertrand's duopoly model? This model was developed by a French mathematician in 1883. His name was Joseph Bertrand. So his assumption regarding behavioral aspects was different from Carnot model. He focuses on price competition only. He tells that that the reaction of the firm can be very calculated reactions. Okay, so how the prices and output are decided? These are decided on the basis of ISO profit curves. And these curves, regarding these curves and ISO product curves, you have already learnt from me under the concept of a production function that you have to understand completely. So they tells that his analysis tools are a reaction function of duopolists. Reaction functions are derived on the basis of ISO profit curves. How the firms shall react? They shall react on the basis of ISO profit curves. An ISO profit curves for a given level of output is drawn on the basis of a various combination of prices charged by rival firms. So he shall make the ISO profit curves, and these are made on the basis of prices charged by a combination of prices charged by different firms, and wherever he shall have his equilibrium position, he shall choose that as his pricing or output decisions. This is all you have to understand in this model. The basic thing you have to understand is that all the firms react to the decision taken by the one firm on the basis of iso profit curves only. They make the analysis of iso profit curves, and these curves are the combination of the all the profit at all the given levels, the different profits, okay, at all the given levels. They just make the analysis of that, and whatever they think fit that they are at equilibrium position, they choose that prices as against the decision of their rival firms, and they assume that there are only two firms. That was all regarding Bartrand's model. So if we are making differentiation, Carnot told that the other firms shall not react immediately. The Chamberlain told the firm shall react immediately. Bartrand told that the firm shall react, but they shall make the complete analysis of iso profit curves. And same is the case of Edgeworth model. Edgeworth gave his model in 1897. He told he had the same assumption like Bertrand, and he told that the decision is taking on the basis of prices only, and the criteria can be anything. The only difference between the Edgeworth and Bertrand model is that the Bertrand gave his model to collusive firms, and Edgeworth gave his model to non-collusive firms. Okay, non-collusive firms are only those firms which do not follow the similar kind of pricing policy. I have already told you. Okay, so Edgeworth developed his model of duopoly in 1897. His model follow Bertrand's assumption that each seller assumes the rival price instead of his output to remain constant. So in a nutshell, we can say that his model is definitely an improvement on Carnot models in that it assumes prices rather than input. They do not take into account the output. Okay, they take into account only prices by the rival firms, and this is only the necessary thing for the relevant decision variable for seller firms in non-collusive oligopoly to act independently. So that was completely regarding Edgeworth model, which focused on non-collusive oligopoly and most importantly the pricing decision rather than the output decisions. So I think this was all about the different kinds of models existed in the market regarding the oligopoly structure. So I have taught you a lot of things. Okay, so if we are making the conclusion, then we have studied regarding oligopoly, then features, then classification of oligopoly, and finally I have taught you regarding models of oligopoly. I think only 2 or 3 things are left, like how the oligopolist can be at equilibrium position, and these kind of questions we have answered a lot of times while studying regarding the perfect competition, then monopoly or monopolistic competition. So now I'm going to move further, and I'm going to tell you how about the different questions regarding equilibrium position and some other things as well. So now, as you have understood regarding the oligopoly situation, I have taught you in detail regarding oligopoly structure, in which we have already gone through from different concepts, like we have understood the most important features of the oligopoly, and after that I have given you some kind of a theoretical basis as well, given by some prominent author who have told that how the oligopoly exists into the market. So we have already gone through from the classification or types of oligopoly as well, and now I feel that you are in a position to understand the price determination under the oligopoly situation. I hope you shall be able to understand this by now. So when we talk about price determination, then we talk about 2 kind of oligopoly situation only. Okay, the first is the individual situation, and the second one. So like we can say that the position can be non-collusive or it can be collusive. And after that, I shall give you the concept of a kinky demand curve or kinked demand curve, which is very famous, which from the point of view of oligopoly situation, this is very important. So now I am going to explain you the oligopoly price determination on the basis of a non-collusive form and on the basis of a collusive form as well. Okay. So the things you have to keep in mind that, as I have already taught you, non-collusive is the form in which none kind of a collusion is made in all the with all the seller between all the sellers. Okay, so they just perform individually. This is A, B, C, D, E, and they do not make any kind of a cartel. Cartel, I hope you understand the word cartel. Cartel is the collusion of all the firms operating into the market. If they have made the cartel, that means that they shall uh, jointly make some policies on the basis of which they shall business further. Okay, and in case of a collusive is just a collusion or just make the cartel, so that they can take the joint policies regarding their business. So on the basis of that, you can understand regarding price and output determination under oligopoly situation. So in case of non-collusive oligopoly, so it believes that every firm is an independent unit. Okay, each firm follows an independent price and output policy on the basis of its judgment about the reaction of his rival. So if there are A, B, C, D, E, if there are 5 firms, then all the firms are thinking itself as an individual unit, and they do not care about they do not care about the joint policies, but they are having their own policies regarding price and output determination. The same, if there is the same kind of a product but the features are different being offered by the different companies, any company is at his credence that at some price they can make some kind of a manipulation. You can easily see that there are number of bathing soaps available all over the world. Okay, but each and every company offering the soaps have a different pricing policy. Okay, bathing soaps can be purchased for 10 rupee as well, for 50 rupee as well, for 100 rupee as well, for 200 as well, and for 300 as well, and it can be increased further. So each and every company is having their own pricing policy. Okay, so in this way we can say that they can have some power of monopoly as well in kind of in price determination. So on the contrary, in case of a differentiated oligopoly, due to product differentiation, each firm has some monopoly control over the market. So they have some kind of a monopoly. They can charge the price as per their credence only. Okay, but you have to remember 2 things. Okay, the actual price falls between 2 limits only: the limits of the monopoly price. Okay, so this is the monopoly price, whatever they cannot charge so high, like they cannot sell the same soap for 1000 rupee, because this will be completely unreasonable. Okay, and the second limit is the linear limit of a competitive price. So competitive price, you all know, you can find the average of, if some company are offering for 10, then other 15, then other 20, then 25, just to find that. So this is from this point, if we are finding the average, you can get the level of competitive price. So it is said that in case when non-collusion is there, so there are 2 limits for deciding the price. The first is the lower limit, which is known as linear limit of a competitive price, and the second one is upper limit, which is known as limit of a monopoly price. Okay, so you can decide price at any level between these two. Okay, there is none kind of graphical formation for that, because this is just on the basis of the decision taken by the individual firm. And after that, but there is every possibility to determine the exact price within these limits. Okay, but it has some possibilities. Okay, it has some possibilities. There may be complete price instability in the market. So if you do these kind of things, there shall be price war. If you are increasing the price of your product, then obviously your rival firms who are offering the similar kind of products in the market, they shall also increase the prices of their products. then price may settle down an intermediate level due to working of the market forces. So it shall be at intermediate level. Okay, so that level shall be the middle level of the price. Okay, so it may settle between middle level of the price. Okay, neither a too lower price nor too higher or upper price. Then the firm may accept prevailing price and adjust itself according to prevailing price. This is also the possibility that any firm can, if this is entering into the market with the new features of the product, then it can accept the prevailing price in the market. This can also be the possibility. Okay, so there can be number of a possibility in case where there is non-collusion kind of oligopoly existing. Then we have to understand regarding equilibrium under the situation of collision. Okay, so under non-collision we have understood that the price can be decided between two limits, lower or upper limits. Lower limits known as limit of competitive price, and upper limit is limit of monopoly price. The second one is equilibrium under collision. Collision, you know, when all the firms have uniform pricing policy. The modern economists are of the view that independent price determination cannot exist for long run in the equilibrium. Okay, so what they told that it leads to uncertainty and insecurity. To overcome them, there is tendency among oligopolists to act collectively by tacit collusion. So they tell you that there shall be collusion between the rival firms, and they should follow a uniform pricing policy. So collusive oligopoly is a situation in which firms in a particular industry decide to join together as a single unit for the purpose of maximizing their joint profits and to negotiate among themselves so as to share the market. So they just create the cartel, and they follow the pricing policy on the basis of the collusion. So as we have understood all these things, we can easily say that there can be the two situation in which we can explain our demand curve. Okay, so under the oligopoly situation, whatever we have studied right now, like I have taught you regarding the price determination in case of non-collusion, in case of collusion, whatever we have understood, on the basis of that we can say that there can be two kind of demand curves. The first is Swiggy's kinked demand curve, or second is collusive model demand curve. So what is the first one? This is Swiggy's kinked demand curve. He has just told you that he has given his Paul M. Swiggy in 1939 has given the kinked demand curve. He tells you that instead of laying emphasis on price at output determination, the model explains the behavior of oligopolist organization. Okay, so they just tells you, so you can see that this blue line is the demand curve. It simply says that when you reduce the prices, okay, when you reduce the prices, so suppose the prices are here, okay, when you reduce the prices, you assume that there will be large demand of your product. Okay, in the same time, the other firms shall also be lowering the prices of their product, but you will have some time to adjust your demand and supply. So in that case, what happens, whenever you lower your prices, your demand increases up to somewhat extent very quickly. So in this case, demand curve does not remain the straight line. Okay, like we have understood in case of monopolistic or the perfect competition, where we have studied like the demand curve is parallel to OX axis. So this is case of a perfect competition, and this is case of a monopolistic and monopoly competition. But this is the case of oligopoly system. Okay, so in this case, what happens, the demand curve is kinked. So first of all, this is a straight line, and after some point there it just move inwards, it tilts inwards. Okay, because if you are increasing the prices or decreasing the prices, very obvious that it shall have the large and greater impact on the demand curve. And if this is the case, then what happens, it shall move faster than its usual pace. This is the reason why it can make a kinked like demand curve. So you can see that first of all it was a straight line. After some point, when you reduced the prices or increased the prices, when you changed your prices structure, it just moved faster. Okay, and its slope completely changed. So this is the situation which is known as kinked or kinky demand curve in case of oligopoly situation. And in case of a collusion, it is very simple to understand. Okay, it's none kind of difficulty is there. We have already made the system, and we have already given information a lot of time while going through perfect competition, monopoly or monopolistic competition. So what we have read in all these situations, that a MC should be equal to AC, MC should be equal to MR, and MC curve should cut the MR from below point. So this is we have understood so many times. Okay, so collusion, what is collusion? Collusion simply means when two or more firms have joined their hands for their joint profits and uh, for having the uniform pricing policies between them. Okay, so there is the very good example. This is organization A, this is organization B, this is at this level, this is at equilibrium position. Okay, so the second organization is at this price equilibrium position, because they are having their MR and MC, these situations equal. And when we join the curves of these two, then we can make the industries or the total collusion model demand and cost curves. You can see here that this is the AR and this is the MR curve, this is MC curve. It is cutting the MR curve from below, and this is the joint curves for both the firms. So at this point E, both the curves shall be at equilibrium level, as they shall be earning the maximum profits. So in this way, you can see that there can be the possibility that the firms are earning the joint profits, and they follow the joint and collective collaboratively the pricing policy. So this is known as the situation of collusion model or the cartel model. Okay, so in this case, demand curve or AR curve is just sloping downward from left to right. So it was all about that what we have already understood regarding the oligopoly situation. I have taught you a lot. I hope you would have enjoyed this all. The only thing is left in the business economics is the concept regarding pricing structure and pricing policies. So I think you have gone through from all the previous notes and the video lectures as well. Regarding next, we shall be informing you as soon as possible. Thank you so much. This is Gurpal Singh from Gurpal Education.